G'day. We're going to build a Mugen starter box. This Pro Starter 3 instruction manual. Now I've gone to the liberty of these sides are just hanging on, but I put a wrap on it, and there's one on the top, so that's done. So now we've got to build, basically we're going to build the guts. So we got a big bag, we got the motors, and then we got that center, the actual, what's it actually called? Yeah, it's just a mount, you know, it's like a mount, but it just screws to the bottom, but we won't need them for a minute. Anyway, let's get this open. I had the older box because I haven't raced Nitro for a while. I think I give up. I'm not racing anymore. My son is. He's just he was 9 last April, so he's about 9.5 now. So, and he's kind of doing what he's told now, to a degree. You know, he's not doing what he's told, but does what he's asked to do. So, and he goes to school 6 days a week. Well, he goes to school Saturday morning for 3 hours, so he's got a little electric, an associated, but he wants to have a go. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bags in that big bag. So we need, by the looks of it, this bag here, I think. No, this one. It's actually this one. So you're going to have to open this one first. There's no A, B, or 1, 2, or 3 on the bags. But basically you need to assemble this first and put the rubber wheel. I've got the instruction manual in front of me, but so I'll put them to the side a minute. We're going to put a lipo in this. We're going to put a lipo, get a 14.8 and put a lipo in it. Let's just have a look. So we need them. We need the bearings. So there's the bearings. So we'll open them. Better put them on something. Put them on that bag. The good thing about this starter box is in the instruction manual there, this here is all the parts to the starter box. You can buy them individually. So let's say you know these holes flogged out on one of the sides, you can order 2. So it's pretty good that I'm just getting things organised here, and then we'll get building. So where's them screws? Yeah, we need these. So that's what we're doing. This here. So we need the two plastic housings, the rubber starter, and these screws and the bearings. The problem is you've got to explode almost all the bags to get the parts. Let's have a look. And when you explode all the bags, you're kind of in a mess because you've got to work out what's going on. Whereas if everything was in one bag, so I've got 3 screw bags here, but I believe it's that one. Oh yeah, and there's the nuts there. Right. That's got it. So this little bag, because the bearing bag, I should have showed you, has got the nuts in. If you open the bearing bag, it's got the nuts for them. So we'll just open that. Yeah, I don't really like to. It's like when you when you're stripping down a car, you don't want to explode the whole thing on the table. You want to do one end. You know, do one end, and then get that back, wash it, whatever you got to do, and then bearings and clean it and oil it and blah 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 blah, and then put it to one side, and then the back, take the back off, and then do the same thing, and then bang, you just put them back on, and then you got the middle with a diff in the middle, and you can give that a clean. It's much easier if you explode the whole thing. Then it just becomes a big mess, and you've got to have a great big bench. So, right, so we need this, the rubber. See, the rubber's in this bag. So you've got to explode. Anyway, we only need the rubber out of this. So. But they're good boxes, these. They've got a good name, Mugen boxes have. They're solid. When I mean solid, I mean, you know, you get years and a use out of them. I mean, you've got to change the rubber wheel, but they're only like $15. Right. I bought a spare one, actually. It's over there somewhere. When I ordered the box, I ordered a spare wheel. But Adam Drake's got a good video, not on how to build the box, but how to line this up. And what he says is, you got to make sure you line it up properly, or else you get premature. Well, he didn't use them exact words, but this wears inconsistently, so you got to make sure it's lined up good. He's got a video. I will link it to when I get to that point. I'll link it in the bottom, because you got to take the engine out, so you've got a bird's eye view when you're setting up the box. And I'm not going to use the plastic grommets that come with it. I'm going to put some metal ones on. I'm going to do a few things to it. I'm going to put some nice feet on the bottom, and I've done it before. I've got some feet coming for it, some 17mm feet. So now you got to put this onto the box. Yeah, I've got some 4 feet. Well, you get 10 in a pack. I've got them off AliExpress. They weren't much. I think they were like $6 for 10. So let me just check this. Yeah, that looks good. So you put them 2 plastic things on that rubber wheel, and then if you can see, the one side has got little cutouts for the nuts, so you got to drop a nut in there. I don't know if you can see that, I've just dropped that nut in there, and then you get one of these bolts. Yeah, there are washers, but it's not on the mat, not on the. They're actually, believe it or not, they're Phillips. Would you believe that? They're actually Phillips. I haven't got a Phillips handy. I don't know if you can see that. And if you can see that in the light, it's actually Phillips. I've got one handy. Just give us a sec. I always keep one in my pit box. And a flat head. I won't do it up tight. I'll get them all in first. I'm not going to put any Loctite on them. I don't think. I don't know. Should I? Don't know. Should we put some Loctite on them? Trouble is, if you got to change the wheel, I didn't put Loctite on them when I had the actual B2, the box, like 10, 12 years ago, from memory. I didn't put, let's have a look. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, three nuts going one way, and then 3 bolts go in, and the nuts are on the other side. They've done it like that. Yeah, I won't put any. I've got some blue Loctite in, and I've got a bit of oil ready just in case. But I won't Loctite them because within, if you're racing a lot, within 6 months, maybe 6, 7 months, you're gonna have to change that wheel. Depends how much racing you do, I suppose, and whether it's lined up or not. Like Drake said in his video, it's very important you don't get uneven wear. So now, the 3 nuts, you got to put the 3 screws in and put the nuts go in this side. So, let's have a look, just have a look. I've actually done it wrong. Would you believe that? What I've done is, where have I? Yeah, I have. What I've done is I put the nuts in the right side on the one side, but what I've done is not lined up them 2 plastic things to match each other. So be warned. So I'll try and show you now what I've done wrong. So the nuts have got to line up to the tapered holes, not the nut holes. So you've got a tapered hole on one side and the knot hole on the other side. They've got to line up. That's what I didn't do. I had the knot holes and the knot holes lined up. Where you've got to have the tapered. Now it's correct. Now you've got to have the tapered holes. So now you've got that tapered hole that screw fits in. And then the knot sits in that hexagonal, where before I had the hexagonal and hexagonal lined up instead of the tapered hole to the hexagonal. So I really could do with glasses, to be honest, because I'm 54 now, and I just don't fancy wearing glasses, to be honest with you. Okay, that one's got to go. But for jobs like this, wouldn't be a bad idea, because they're only like a band-aid. You know, I see these really young, these young Asian girls wear them in their 20s, and I'm thinking, I never needed glasses when I was in my 20s. I never even thought about it. Yeah, I'm not going to Loctite them nuts. So what you've got to do, I'll just go over it again. The tapered hole that them flanged nuts sit in, the opposite side has got to be the hex. They've got to match up, not hex and hex. So you got to have the flange taper with the hex lined up. Where I had hex and hex lined up, and put the screw in the hex. And then you just do the same for the other three. Because this is quite a big build. I reckon it's, I mean, I won't do it all today, but over the next week, I'll bash it out. We're not in any rush. We're really waiting for a new Mugen, to be honest with you. Because the R's been out. It's been out 3 years. I think, yeah, just under 3 years. But the worlds, I'm just nipping these up at the minute. I'm just nipping them up, just to, when I get everything in, I'll do them up gradually each. Yeah, the world's 13 months away, the 1/8 worlds, because it was September 24 in Spain when Ongaro won again. Right, so we've got them all in. So you've got, on this side, you've got the hex lined up with a flanged, meaning the black screws, and on this side you've got the hex lined up with the black screws on that side. So what I'm going to do is do them up until it stops, and then, or virtually stops. Yeah, it was September 24 when Ongaro won in in Spain. Yeah, I'm not gonna. They won't come undone because them nuts have got a nylon lock on them, and it does do up a bit. You can see that thread there sticking out a little bit, not much. And if you can see it there. just sticking out a bit. So it's every 2 years, right? The Worlds. So we got September 26th. So it's September now 25. So we got about 12 months. Now I'm anticipating a few of the manufacturers bringing out new cars about 6 months, or like with September now, so October, November, December, January, around January, February, I'm anticipating some of the manufacturers to, you know, bring a new version out of the car. Right, now I'm going to flip it over. So I've tightened that side, but this side. So I'm going to hang on for about 6 months and see what happens. See what happens. Because the MBX8R has been out for 3 years. It's a solid car. It's just a few things like the lower turnbuckles are 52mm. Well, I put 60s on there, 60mm turnbuckles on the lower steering arms. The 52s, they're all right, but if you have a big crash, I would. So, yeah, I put 60s on there. Right, so that's that done. I've tightened that right up. I ain't Loctited it because, like I say, if you've got to change it, but I'm going to note the size of them screws. So they're 20s. So them hexes, I've put in there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 in there. So what you could do is pick up some hexes, some 2mm hexes, because you know the Phillips, they flog out after a while. I mean, they're all right now, but ripping that off, you know. So that's that done. So the next step is, so that was called the starter ring assembly, that bit there, which is number 1. So now, so we've done that one, number 1. Now we've got to do number 2, which is called the motor pulley assembly, which looks a bit tricky actually, but you want to keep your table. You can't see the table, but it's pretty clean. It's keep it tidy so you don't get confused. So let me just have a quick look at this. So we need the motors now. So you get 2. I think these are 540. They're just 540 brushed. I'm not sure how much filming I've got on this camera, but like I say, over the next now there's a couple of these Dean's plugs on here, but they're not original Dean's plugs. I don't think they are. And I would be inclined to well, I won't use Dean's. Well, not these ones. I'll get the original Dean's plugs because they're solid, the original ones. But I can do that later in in the. But yeah, these are just. They're not. No, they're not. Are they 540 or? I think so. They look. Yeah, they're just 540. 540 brush motors. Yeah, I can't see any bearings. Looks like bushings. But what I'm going to do, I've got a bit of oil here. So I'll drop some oil on them bushings. It's probably a seal. There's probably a bearing behind there. But I'll drop a bit of oil on there just to give them. And when you're doing them holes up there, you got to be careful because you don't want to flog one of them out because there's only 3 of them. See, 1, 2, 3. You haven't got a 4th one. So, but anyway, I'll drop a bit of oil on there, but I'll show you. So we got to put that motor on that plate and then on that other mounting plate and then put the pulley on there. Let's just have a quick look. Yeah, so we need that pulley now, which is in another bag, which is here. These, I've actually got some of these spare from my old box because I don't use them. I'll show you what I'm going to do. I use metal ones. These are all right, but they're okay. I used them initially on my old box, but I changed them for metal ones, and because they were wearing a bit. Because when you put the car down, you want it tight, you know, to line up the hole. And they do wear a touch. So I put from AliExpress again. So you got to get them plates out of there, and the other plates are in another bag. So you got to open. But I'll put the links down below the videos of all the. See, these are the feet. There, we can. Them are the little feet that go in the box. But I'm going to put some bigger ones on. I've got some bigger ones coming, so I'm going to have to mark it, the bottom of the box, and then drill 4 holes. And then there's just a little nut and a bolt that goes through. Because the feet, I mean, they won't be that big, but that inner diameter, it'll be just a little bit bigger than that. So we're going from them little feet there to that inner diameter. So I've seen a lot of people do it with the Mugen boxes. They put bigger feet on the bottom. So we won't need them feet. These here, we won't need them. But we'll keep them just in case. So now you've got 2 of these, and 2 of these dowel pins, and then there's another little dowel pin, but it's threaded. Oh, they're all threaded. And then you've got to get them 2 plates out of this bag. But yeah, the world's about 12 months away. So, like these belts, you can buy them. if what, but on the first box, they never broke, and I had it. I raced for 5 years, and I sold it on. So let's get all these parts. I've actually got to open the other bag as well. So we got two of them, one of them, and then two of them. I'm not sure if we need them. No, I don't see them. I have to put them. There's two little flange washers there. And there's a couple of these. You can see them there. And then we need them circlips out of this bag. And some of the screws in here. So we'll move that lot up here. Put them. I've got a little bag here that I've divided. Just keep things tidy. Right. So, but yeah, them 20mm screws that go through that starter ring. 6 of them. You could get some hexes and replace them, but it should be all right. I didn't replace them before, but if I'd have known, I'd have got some. I don't think I've got any 20s, to be honest. No, I've got some of the 12s for the diff, but right. Yeah, both motors are the same. So what I'm going to do now is, because I've got to put these plates on, so what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of oil. This is just 3-in-1. I'll just put it in a smaller bottle. I don't use any fancy oils. I use this in the engines for after run, but what I do is I thin it down a little bit. So I do a mixture of 3-in-1 and WD-40, and that's my after run oil. It just burns off, it just burn up. The engine will just, when you start it up, just burn it off. Yeah, so I've oiled both sides of them just to give it. Right, so now this is tricky. So let me just check the instructions. See, on the motor, on the picture, there's only 2 holes in the motor, but here there's 3. So that's tricky because, well, that's true. You can only go one way because yeah. So there's 3 holes, and there's 2 holes in there. So you got to line 2 of them up. And then, let's have a look. Yeah, there's some 3x12 here. There's 2. They're Phillips as well. They go into the motor. Are they 3x12? Oh no, 3x8. Yeah, 3x8. Have I got some of them? I have, yeah. I have. I've got some hex of these. So what I'm going to do is because they're going into the motor, so with the hex you can get a bit more torque on there, you know. So let me just give me a sec, because it's worth changing them because I've got them. I've got them here. They're not 20, are they? I reckon I had them. No, they're not. See, I've got these hexes, but I think they're only like 16, 18. Let's just check if I've got... I think these are 10s, you know. It's got there 3 by 8, but them are never 3 by 8. So I've got 8 10s and 16s. What a bummer. Them 16s might be too big. Because it might, if I put it into the motor, it might catch something into the motor, you know. So, I've got an odd box with some... I don't think these 10s are going to be big enough. No. No. See, if you can, there's not enough. You just need that extra 2 mil. But they're hex. See, the factory ones. So what I'm going to do is let me have a dig around. I can't believe I ain't got a couple of them 12s. Let me just, what a bummer. I don't really want to put them in, to be honest, because they're going into the motor, going through them 2 plates into the motor, and being a Phillips. I mean, I probably would have used them on that first box I built, but I prefer the hex. I prefer, or I could just stick it, because that ain't coming off, is it? I could just put a touch of, just a very light dab. Let's have a look in this bag here. Or instead of it being the flanged, I could just use the cap heads. I'm not sure. Use the cap heads. Yeah, them 16s are going to be too much. Too much. I don't know what to do. I might put a... Let's just have a look, see if I can find a couple of them 12s. actually picked these boxes up from Taiwan. These, I bought 6 of them. My wife's Taiwanese. Just at the, local shop on the high street. I think they were about $3 each. But they're good because you can get your hands into the bloody boxes. So I need 3 flange, 3 hex, 3x12. I need 4 of them. There's a titanium one there. How many of them have we got? Is that? See the hex, you're going to get a lot more. Yeah. No, it's still not big enough. Yeah, it doesn't look like I've got any 12s in the flange. I've got them in the cap head, but what am I going to do? Anyway, we'll put it together and I'll use the Phillips. Hold on, because I've lost. There's that one. So where's the other one? Put it back in the box. So I've just misplaced a freaking screw. I've got one of the 12s, the Phillips. I can't find the other one. Let's just have a... But saying that, I need 4 and there's only 2 here. Where's that gone now? See what happens when you get old? You start going fucking crazy, mate. I think I'll put it back in that box. Two of them. Yeah, well, that's just 3x8. That's the problem. On the instructions, let me show you. That there says, if you can see, it says 3x8 up there. So what I'm going to do, I've got 10s, so we're going to use the 10s, but the hex, so we can get a bit more torque on there. So let's get going because we ain't done nothing for a while. So there's 3 holes in there and there's 2 holes in there. So you got to line the 2 holes up there, and then the problem is on the instruction it doesn't show you the wires, but with the holes are lined up it should be fine. But that can go that way or that way. You with me? And it doesn't show you any of the cutouts of the motor on the instructions to give you any idea. But Anyway, we'll have to take potluck when we put it together. We can always just change it around. It wouldn't take long. So let me just try a 10 in here now. I got me 2 mil. Yeah, it does grab enough. But see, you can get some. So you got that. You put the round washer on first, line the holes up, and then you put this washer on. Obviously with the flange on the outside. But am I going to put a bit of blue Loctite on that? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I got this from Drake. What he does for the grub that goes into the outdrive on the front and rear gearboxes, what he does, he mixes the blue and a little bit of red. So he puts a bit of red in the blue, not much, and it turns like a purpley colour. And he uses that for that screw. He only uses that because you don't want red, because you'll never, if you got to get it out in a rush, you probably won't. You'll probably need some heat with the red. So, so he puts a teeny bit of red in, which is so I'm going to do it. So I've got some red, but I want another little blue one, and then I'll put about 3 or 4 or 5 drops of red Loctite in the blue, in a full bottle of blue, and then just give it a shake up, and then I'll mark that for that job. For the anything that's metal to metal, that's the drivetrain. I'll mark that and that bottle. So what I'm going to do is I don't cut the top off there like that, because if you get on a plane or something, just wipe this in a bit. I don't want it leaking, so see, it's nice and clean because I don't cut that top off. What I do is I chuck a bit in that end, chuck a bit in there, and then whip that off, and there's enough in there for me to use. And so what I'm going to do is whip that 10 out. These are actually Mugen 3x10 screws actually. And then I just whip a bit in there like that. You don't much. There's just a dab on there. Because this is something you ain't going to touch, you know what I mean? This should see out the life of the box. And then I can get a bit of torque on there. But like I say, that could be the wrong way around, but I don't think so, because you can just turn it around the wires. But this is a bigger build than what you think. So I'll just get a dab on there. Not much. Just something to give it, over time. Chucking it in your box and all that type of crap, it could come loose. So I've oiled the motor. I've just put a dab of blue Loctite on there. And now we're going to do the other one. I'll put that away and I need it. Just make sure. Now there's that, because that isn't on the other side of the motor. So, but these cutouts are not on the, they're not on the instructions. So, but this edge here, this sharp edge, is where this, where these holes are, these heat, to let the heat out of the motor. So I'm going to do the same with the other one. I'm going to do the same with that. Just put a dab of Loctite on. Just a teeny bit. And that way, it's a teeny bit of security, you know. I've got to watch the time because I've got to pick my son up from school. He finishes at 3:15. But he's a good kid. He bloody eats like an horse at the moment. Can't fill him up. He comes home from school, you got to feed him about 5 times before he goes to bed. It costs a freaking fortune, mate. But he's in a growth, I think he's in a growth stage at the moment. That's why this summer I want him off the screens. I want him off. So that's why we're going to do a little bit of electric racing. We've got a little 2-wheel here associated. It's a 6.3, but it's got the longer chassis on. It's got the car fit chassis on. It goes well, it does. Got it set up. I spent months setting that up. Right. So that's that motor pulley assembly. Half done. Let's just put this away. There is a grub screw. I'll need this again. There's a grub screw there. But anyway, so I've replaced the Phillips with 3x10s in there, and it's solid with a little bit of Loctite. That way I've got a bit of peace of mind upstairs, you know what I mean? That it's if you're chucking it in and out the car and blah 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 over months and years, now you've got this kind of pinion thing here. So this has got to go on with this wheel. And then that circlip goes on the... So obviously, I mean, most racers would have saw this a million times. Maybe you can see that. There's a flat edge on that stator there. So obviously, when you're doing up that screw, it's got to go on that flat edge. It's got to line up. That way it's not going to slip or anything, you know. I mean, if you've been around the RC, you know that. Problem is, how do you know how much to put that pulley on? So what I'm going to do is, it doesn't tell you how much to put that pinion on, and then put the, it doesn't say. So even the next step, it doesn't tell you. Safety precaution. When assembling the starter box, use the edge tools with care to avoid injury. Check the wiring cord to avoid any excess heat buildup and possible fire. If the assembly of drive unit is incomplete, it could cause damage to the motor. Do not touch the drive unit while it's rotating. Disconnect the battery when you do not use. Oh, they are 540 motors, yeah, purchased separately, yeah. Yeah, I just brushed 540 motors. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put I'm not going to Loctite that grub screw because until we get everything lined up, I'll do that later. But I'm going to put the grub screw in and put this on and then put that circlip on, but I'm not going to Loctite up that. I'll do that later. I've got to find these. Oh, there they are. I've got them. Hopefully they're 2, not 2.5. Yeah, they're 2 mil. So I'm going to put that in there. Obviously, now I'm going to pull this off. Make sure that flat edge on that stator gets lined up with that. But this may be, because I don't know how far this has got to go in or out, so it doesn't show you on the instructions. So what I'm going to do is just do that up a little bit, just because that'll have to be changed, and then you put this on. Let me just show you the instructions. So that's what we're completing there, the final steps of that motor pulley assembly. But like I say, I don't know how much I've got on this phone, so that goes on there. And it's just square, it just sits on there. But you can get hold of that grub screw, if you can see that, see? So, and then you put this little circlip, let me just have a look. Yeah, that circlip goes, I need a set, I've got a set of pliers there. What you don't want to do is bend that circlip because you only get 4, so. Let me just have a look. I'm just going to put there's a little groove on that where the circlip, I'm just going to put a bit of oil on there just to, so that circlip will go on easy, because you don't want to bend it. It wouldn't do it any harm, that oil, but it's very tight, I'll tell you that much. It's very bloody tight. It's a bit tricky, this. We just have a look at that. Yeah, I'd definitely put a bit of oil on that, because are you sure that's the right one? Because that seems bloody tight, that does. This is tricky, this is. I remember this before it was tricky. So I'd put a little bit of oil around that pinion just to whoa. Flew off. luckily we got wooden floors, so yeah, this is a tricky little job. Get this. Golly. Let me just have a think. Gotta watch the time because I've got to get my son. I've only got about 10 minutes and I've got to go. Let me just put a dab more oil on there. This is very tight, this is. And like I say, I don't want to bend them circlips. Because you want them on there. They actually look, the circlips look a little bit too small to go on there, but when you look at it, there's a ridge where it sits in. Right, that's tight. That is bloody tight, that is. Yeah, it's the right one. What I'm going to do is, now if I take that pinion off, take the pinion off the shaft, it means I'm going to have to use two hands then. But I might have a bit... Yeah, it's no easier. Yeah, this is a very tricky job. It don't look like it, but yeah, I'm gonna have to put it back on. Put it back on there. What I want to do is get it started, and then I can put some force on it, you know what I mean? Yeah. This is a tricky job. It'd be the world record starter box build, this will. The thing, I can't show you that. I need a fucking $2,000 camera to show you, but that plastic pulley has got a bit of a... It sits inside that as well, so... This is about my 10th attempt to get this in here. Keeps jumping off. No. Anyway, be warned. It's a tricky job. I'm just trying to think. I've got various pliers, but that's putting a lot of pressure on there and it's not going in. What I might do is take that off for a minute and get that in. Take that pulley off, I can put it on, and then I've got to take it off then, but nah. No, it won't. You need... I remember the first box I had problems with this. It's a bloody bummer. trying to think what other tools I've got. I've got various pliers, but no, it's just not happening fast. I don't think. I was watching on the internet today. There's a big race at Drake's Raceway. I think it's called Sick Cross or something. No. Let's have a look at that. No, it's that is fucking. How do you get them in there? Slightly out of shape now. This is what I didn't want. Look at that. Yeah, it's just. I've got to go in 5 minutes. I've got to get the main man. This is a tricky job, mate. I'm telling you. Very tricky. It needs opening up a little bit. Tough to get that in there. Oh, man. It's not in properly. It's like a little groove it sits in. No, that's not it. The one side's kind of in, but no, not happy with that. No, I'm gonna have to take it off. No, it's I need. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take it off. It's out of shape just slightly, and I'm in there. It's got to go on. It's got to go on straight. Let's just have a look. Let's just move this out a minute. No. Just give me a sec. You wouldn't think a simple circlip would cause you so much trouble. just have to get a little flat edge. I'm going to have to try and put it on without the pulley and then take it off and then pre-fit it, because I don't want to damage that plastic pulley, because I'll be in it's not damaged, but I can't believe how tough it is to get on. But it's opened up a bit now, because I had it on, but it was a little bit out of shape. This is what I didn't want to happen. Let's put a bit more oil on there. If you ever build one of these, you'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm going to pre-fit it and then take it off. And then put some force on that, it won't go on. Just seeing how flat it is. Right. It's on now, but looks a bit wonky. I don't like that at all. Yeah. They actually look like they're a bit too small for the actual job. Yeah. I might have to yeah, it's on now, but yeah, it's slightly, that oil helped a bit, but they actually look a bit too thick as well. And they don't go fully round the... Just make sure I've got... There's no other ones. No, them are the only ones. What a bummer. I've got to go in a couple of minutes. I'm just trying to... It's on now. I'm just trying to... get it a bit straight. It's just a bit... And then I'm going to see how much force I need to get it off, because you don't want this coming off. you know, yeah, it just seems the circlip's a little bit too small. It only goes around just over half of the. It should go around about 70%, 75% of the. But I've got to take it off and put that pulley on. But I just wanted to pre-fit it just to. Just to see how if I could pull it off with me. I've got to go. So, right, we'll have one go. I'm going to take this off now. Don't like that at all, to be honest with you. Let's just put this back on. Actual plastic. I might measure that try and get some from AliExpress. If they were thinner, they're very thick, these circlips are. They're probably like, I don't know, 0.5 mil, 0.5. I want it on straight, so because that fucking motor's going to be flying around. So we might have to pause this build until I get this. Now what I've done is I've just knocked the top of that pulley, and there's a bit of aluminium. What's the time? Yeah, I've got to go. I've got to go and get my son. Yeah, that's on. I'll have one go trying to get this on, but I guarantee it's not going to happen. But they just seem a bit too small. Yeah, that's tricky as all hell. That is. Oh. No. This is a problem. No. You need freaking Kenji Osaka to do this. He's probably done a few in his life. If you know who Kenji Osaka is. Good driver he was. He saw him win Femke in Malaysia back, probably 2007, 8, something like that, 9, Malaysia, at Alvin Lam's track. I think that track don't exist anymore. It's right next to the golf course, the Glen Murray. We went there twice, we did. So hot. Oh, Alvin Lam, we used to have it in in the summer, the race. We went to the GS Cup back in, I think it was 2007. And then a couple of years later or so, they had the Femke there. Me, Wiley went, Wall Hunter. Quite a few of us from Perth. I was living in Perth then. Now, I'm going to have to spend some time on that. That's a nightmare. Right, I've got to go. I've got to go and get the main man. All right.